Isn't it interesting how Naaman, the king of Syria, and the king of Israel each think that they're going to effect healing or change by their own methods? So much how I often see my own way of healing and dealing with things that I'm going to be the one to figure it out, that I've got a solution, that I've got to fix. Naaman says, the word is there's somebody who can heal me, so let me use my connections, let me line up with the right individual to affect healing in my situation. Let me call on the king. I know somebody of influence. I know somebody I can text, I can tweet, I can call on, I can line up with the right individual, and he can help me. So he calls the king. The king says, I am a man of status. I'm the king. I'm the one in charge. I'm the one who has authority around here. I'm the big shot. I know what I'm doing. I'll just write a letter. I'll clear the way because I have authority. I have control. And when the king of Israel gets the letter, he says, am I God? That I can cure, that I can heal. He tears his clothes, which is a sign of grief and anguish. And he says, I can't do it. I'm in over my head. Everybody thinks they can affect change. One wants to line up with the right person. One person says, I'm the one who can do something about it. And the other says, I'm completely out of my league. So often in our own lives, we find ourselves trying to do these very same things, trying to call the right person, trying to research our way into knowledge and understanding in the world of things, reading the Wall Street Journal, calling the right person, texting and tweeting and lining up with people, hoping that they can tell us everything we need to know. And God says, have you called on me?
Okay.
We find ourselves with authority. I've risen to the right status. I have the right job. I can affect some things. I'm somebody. Let me just write a letter and clear the way. Because I know what I'm doing. I know what it takes. If I write a letter, people will move. Because I am somebody. I have achieved. I have climbed the ladder high enough that when I say something, people jump. And then the king of Israel says, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm in a situation where I'm boxed in. I'm in over my head. I feel like I'm in a situation where this man just wants to fight with me because I can't affect any change. And all of them are overwhelmed by the circumstance of Naaman being afflicted with leprosy. Call the right person. Use your authority. I'm in over my head. The problem that they have is that they're seeing life through their circumstance and not through their faith. They're seeing life through what they see in front of them, but nobody is looking toward heaven. Nobody is calling on God. But in verse 8 it says, but when Elisha, the man of God, somebody who has a relationship with God, the child of God who knows God for himself, when he hears and sees, he says that he looks at the king and he says, why'd you tear your clothes? We are Israelites. We are the children of God. We know about God. We know what God has done. We have a history of walking with God. Why are you acting like that? Why are you falling in the floor? Why are you losing your mind over what's going on? Because somebody has asked you to do something. Somebody has sent you a letter. Somebody has asked you to do something that's out of your league. Have you called on God? And so Elisha, when the man of God hears that the king of Israel has torn his clothes, he said to the king, why'd you tear your clothes? Why are you so upset? Why are you allowing this circumstance to overrun you? Just because the king of Syria sent you the letter, you don't have to respond in the same way that he's made the request. Just because it looks tight and it looks like it's a tough situation doesn't mean that that's the only way that you can deal with it. Elisha, the man of God, is saying just because somebody in the world has solicited you, has made this offer, has made this request, you don't have to respond in a worldly way. You don't have to be filled with despair just because it looks tough, it sounds daunting. He says, why did you tear your clothes? Why are you so upset? I've got to ask myself that same thing this morning. Why do things get me so off track? Why do I get so angry? Why do I get so frustrated? Why do I worry about so many things that are out of my control? Elisha says, dude, get it together. why have you torn your clothes? Let him come now to me, that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel. And I thought about that. Is Elisha here being a little haughty? Is he being arrogant? I think Elisha's being confident in God and knowing where the solution comes from. Naaman is trying to line up with the right person, but that's not the right solution. The king of Syria is trying to flaunt his authority, but that's not going to change a thing. The king of Israel is overrun and tearing his clothes and filled with fear and regret and overwhelmed, but that's not going to move not a thing in the house of God. But there is somebody who knows God for themselves that says, let them come to me. Let me call on the Lord and let me see what he will do.